Hello, everyone, and welcome to Draft Dreams, an Inside the Birds presentation profiling small school NFL draft prospects chasing their big dreams. I'm your host, Andrew DiCecco from InsideTheBirds.com, and with us today is safety Mike Griffin II from South Dakota State, a very impressive safety. Mike, how are you today? Thanks for joining us.
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm great, man. Thanks for making some time. I know it's a busy next couple of weeks for you, but you have an interesting story, man. So let's talk about your journey. You're from Minnesota,
Yes, sir.
right outside the Twin Cities, and you went to Southwest Minnesota State before going to South Dakota State.
Mm-hmm.
What led you to Southwest Minnesota and then to South Dakota State?
So I was committed. I was kind of a under the radar guy coming out of high school. I really peaked my senior year. I went to some camps and did pretty well at camps. So that's where I got most of my opportunities from. I ended up losing a few of my offers just because I didn't sign fast enough or commit. And so I kind of got left, I think like 2 weeks before signing day. Southwest came to visit me. And I really vibed with the coaches, and I had a vision for what I wanted to do, and that just seemed like the place to do it at. So I ended up at Southwest, and I was there for 2 seasons. I had 2 good seasons, and then I decided I wanted to transfer to South Dakota State, which I was pretty familiar with.
When you're at Southwest Minnesota, how did you get on South Dakota State's radar?
So I was actually recruited by South Dakota State out of high school. We used to go up there for team camp a lot, and so they were familiar with who I was. They actually signed one of my teammates. He was a defensive end or running back at the time, and they moved him to DN. And so I was familiar with the program, and he actually spent a lot of time trying to convince me to transfer, actually.
For us Northeasterners, describe what life is like in South Dakota. What do you do for fun?
Well, you try not to go outside because it's windy all the time. It'll blow you away. Really, all you can do is make your own fun. I mean, it's a good place to stay focused, but you got a lot of friends out there, so you really just kick it with your friends all the time, or go train, or really that's all we do is play video games, and we have little tournaments and stuff. So that's pretty much all we did.
Now, do you ice fish at all?
No, I've actually never been. Surprisingly, they asked me a few times, but I don't know how I feel about it.
As a senior, you played the national championship game against Sam Houston State. What was that experience like for you, man?
That was a great experience. I've been on solid teams, but I've never been on a team at that caliber. So to be on an elite team and play on an elite stage was something I always remember because, you don't always get to do stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it was really cool. It was a surreal moment. It was something you dream of to play for a national championship. So that was a great experience.
Now, as a competitor, Mike, does losing a game like that, like a national title game, does that still haunt you?
Man, I think about it every day. Losing in
figured.
16 seconds is like we were so close to just, something we had dreamed about. We talked about it as a team, and we finally, it was like a story, perfect story, and we just couldn't get it done, couldn't hold it out. So I think about that often, honestly.
Yeah, I figured as a competitor, I figured that's kind of hard not to. But looking at your profile, what do you consider to be your best attribute as a safety?
I like to focus on my versatility. So I'm not just a box safety. I'm not just over the top safety. I can play man coverage. I can play over the top. I'll do run support. I can blitz. So I think something that really helps me stand out is my versatility and just my natural leadership. I think that's what puts me out in front of others.
Now, what makes you an NFL draft prospect, which is hard to do coming from an FCS school? What do you consider to be your defining characteristic?
My defining characteristic, I would just say that I can play anywhere. You know what I mean? What puts people from NFL to get into the NFL is you got to be able to transition. So like you got to have the athleticism, but you also have to have the mind. And I think I have both of them. So being versatile and having that mindset.
Now, I figured I'd ask, do you still keep in contact with any of the alums like Jordan Brown or Mikey Daniel or anyone?
Yeah, Jordan Brown, we're actually signed with the same agency, so I keep in contact with him a lot. He's been a mentor for me ever since I've been at South Dakota State. So, yeah, we talk a lot.
Yeah, JB's he's my guy, man. I interviewed him right before the draft a few years ago, and we've stayed in contact, intermittently, throughout the years. And he's bounced around to a lot of teams, but I'm glad to see him keep getting opportunities because he's a great guy and a great player, man. Very versatile.
Yeah, it seems like he's starting to find a home down in Vegas, so that's good for him.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. So I have to talk about your pro day, right? So you blew the doors off your pro day. You hit an 11.5. You jumped an 11.5 broad jump, and you had a staggering 43.5-inch vertical leap, which would have been best of all anyone at the NFL Combine. How much do you think that helped you?
I think it helps me put my name out there. Being at a small school, I played on a good defense, so sometimes in your program you don't always get to shine as like that guy. But I feel like I'm a solid player already. But putting those numbers out there set me apart from other people, and so I think it kind of helped me get my name out there a little bit.
Now, how satisfying was it to crush it with scouts in attendance? Knowing that you had your opportunity and you made the most of it.
It felt really good, man. There's a lot of pressure, but in those moments you got to fight through the pressure and perform at your highest level. So to get the numbers that I was shooting for, it felt really good.
I think there were at least 20 scouts there. Do you remember talking to any particular ones or having any meaningful conversations with any?
Yeah, there was about 25 or 27. I spoke with all of them. The ones that I remember the most who had deeper conversations was Packers, the Colts, the Jets, the Bears, and then I had spoken with the Seahawks for a little bit. So I got some good conversations out there.
From the gist of it, what kind of questions were you being asked for the by and large?
So they really just asked me how I felt about the day. It was mostly that kind of stuff. Like, how do you feel you did today? And I told them I felt like this is what I was shooting for, and I feel like I hit my numbers and more. And so they really asked, like, how do I feel about this team? How do I feel about being what position do I want to play? Where do I see myself at? And how I view myself as a player.
Now, looking back at your entire college football career, what would you consider to be the best play that you've made over your time?
And there's some that just sticks with me forever. Like, this is my favorite moment. It's something you dream of. It was the playoffs in the spring season against Southern Illinois. And it was a hard-fought game. It was the rematch from playing them earlier in the season, and they came out a whole different team. Like, we weren't expecting them to come out like that. So it was a hard-fought game, but at the end, I got a game-winning interception. And in that moment, it was like, this is what I literally, like, as a safety, you sit there and wait for that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And so the fact that I had that opportunity to do something you always dream of, that was probably my favorite moment.
Now, you've had 7 career interceptions, if memory serves. But when's the last time you took one to the house?
Man, I don't think I've ever taken one to the house, honestly. They kind of messed with me because I used to play running back, but they tell me I got to work on my vision with the ball, I guess. But
do you think that, I guess, your 2019 season where you had 4 interceptions, would you consider that your career highlight?
I don't think so. I think I molded myself as a better player. Even though I didn't get all the interceptions, I started to put it all together. And I think this past season, I was able to display a full display of Michael Griffin.
Have you ever had to tackle your teammate Pierre Strong, who ran a 4.37 at the NFL scouting combine? Have you ever had to tackle him in the open field?
Oh, yeah, a few times. Yeah, we've had a bunch of scrimmages I've gone up against him. Back when I first got there, I was so low on the depth chart. I think we had some scrimmages back when there was like 4 or 5 running backs, so we used to go at it a lot.
Now, Mike, is there any particular NFL defensive back that you sort of pattern your game after?
Not necessarily pattern my game after, but I do watch a lot of Derwin James, like a lot of Tyrann Mathieu, Jamal Adams, just guys who I see myself kind of playing in the same role, the spin down, run support, zone safety. So I watch a lot of those guys. Malcolm James is a big one.
Was there any significance to wearing the number 6 throughout your career?
Yeah, 6 is my favorite number. So I've always wanted to wear 6, but I never really got the opportunity until I got to college. And when I got the opportunity, that's the first number I took.
Yeah, 5 is my favorite number. Something about those single-digit numbers, man, that really stick out.
Yeah, 6 looks good. It's a special number.
How confident are you in your abilities to compete at the pro level, and why do you believe that?
I'm very confident because even though I'm a small school guy, I have the top tier athleticism, and I've shown myself. So when I was going through my process, I've gone against like Jerry Judy before in camps and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, you just build confidence over time. Just because I've played at all the different levels, I know a
Yeah.
bunch of different people. Some of my friends are in the NFL, so you know that's how it goes. I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, you talk about competing at all these different levels, which I think is an interesting layer to your career. What was the biggest lesson or takeaway from all that growth that you've had to endure throughout your your college career?
The biggest takeaway is confidence. I think what separates people from the top level Power Five to back on D2 is like your mental. Like some people have it and some people don't fully, they're not fully there. So like you got to believe these are the same people that you are. There's really no difference. Like if you're athletic, they're athletic too, but they just want it more. They got it in their head kind of stuff. So when I played at the NFLPA game, I got the opportunity to play against like the top level guys, like USC, UCLA, all those kind of guys. And something I learned is the difference between the levels is just they're full speed all the time. Like every second has to be full speed and be on top of your game. So
Now, I want to talk a little bit about the NFLPA game. What's your memory of how you found out that you got the invite to that?
it was actually crazy because I didn't plan on playing in a bowl game, and I just got home from a workout. I had like literally just was about to get in the shower, and then Jason called me, my agent, and he was like, "There's been some injuries at the game, at the NFLPA game. If it's your option, they want you to come out, but it's up to you." And I was like, "Man, we might as well do it. It's the middle of the week. They had been there since Monday, but my plan was to go there, learn the playbook, and show that I can do all these things in a short amount of time." And so that's how I found out. I think I got to Los Angeles at about like 2, 3 in the morning. So.
Now, I want to back up to something you said just a second ago. You joined late in the week, so that's even more of a challenge. Just it just sort of goes with the pattern of your career and things you've had to sort of work through. How difficult was that? And did you enter that week sort of like with a chip on your shoulder that you wanted to prove something that you belonged there?
Yeah, so what I wanted to prove is that people never thought I was going to be there. Like I'm a talented player, but nobody thought I was on that level. So I wanted to show that I'm the same as all these other guys, the Alabama guys, the all over the country. Just because I played at a small school, the Jackrabbits are no joke. And so I wanted to come in and make sure that everybody knew that I can be the same as everybody else, if not better.
Exactly. So looking at yourself objectively, what would you consider to be the area in which you need to improve on the most?
My vision sometimes I get caught staring at one thing. Something that I've been working on lately is surveying the full field and not just my assignment, but be able to read ahead of time in my anticipation so that I can jump some plays instead of being focused on my assignment.
What originally led to you playing safety in high school? What gravitated you to playing the center field?
So my dad actually was a pretty talented safety, and I always wanted to be like my dad. So I used to be a corner, and I was a pretty big corner in high school. I think I was up to like 205 at one point.
Wow.
And playing corner was like, it was cool and all, but they kind of needed help over the top. And so we were at a South Dakota State team camp, and my coach had told me he wanted me to play safety. So that's how it all started.
I also see that you manage in business economics at South Dakota State.
Yes,
Do you have
sir.
any interest in in the future? We're talking down the road here about being a businessman.
Oh yeah, I've been working on it right now. My plan is to open up my own facility because I've always wanted to train high school students, high school athletes in Minnesota because the culture, like we have some talented players who don't always get the opportunity to do what other people do down in Texas and stuff. And so I would like to open up my own training facility where I train them, but not only I train them, I'm bringing them across the country to the colleges that they want to go to so that we can compete and get out there just like the other guys.
That's awesome. And you already alluded to training, which brings me to my next question. Where were you training for your pro day, and where have you really been training and throughout this whole process to get you ready?
So I have two guys I train with. Started off with Bill Welly at the training house. They did a great job. It's a new facility. I think it was built like 3-4 years ago, and it was close to home. And so I decided to go there. I knew I worked with Bill a few times, and I really liked what he had to offer. And he's a great dude. And so them at the training house, they really got me right for my pro day. And then for my position training, I train with Eric Harrison. He's a DB trainer out here. And so I stick with those two guys mostly.
Were there any other NFL draft prospects that you were training with?
Yeah, I train with a big group of guys. Alex Spillum from Coastal Carolina.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And guys, Tolu Ogunrende, one of my teammates. Logan Backus, who's also one of my teammates. So guys I'm familiar with in the D2 level. Jack Leas, Vance Barnes, Levi. He played receiver at Nebraska. So I had a nice little group we were working with.
How about off the field, Mike? What are some of your non-football hobbies?
I used to snowboard. I probably shouldn't do that anymore. So
Might not be a good idea.
yeah, I gotta take care of my body, eliminate the risk. But I'm a family guy, so I spend a lot of time with my family now that I'm back. Something I do, like I play video games and stuff, but I like to read. I play chess every now and then, and I just like to kick it with my family and my friends.
The first player you mentioned when I asked it who you patterned your game after is Derwin James. Would you consider Derwin to be the one player that you enjoy watching the most in today's NFL?
I do because I followed him a lot, and when he was in college, and I just like how he's able to dominate the same way he did at the college level, and I like how he plays his game. He's not just a run stopper; he's an all around guy. So I like to watch him.
Well, obviously, this is an Eagles-centric podcast. So, what do you know about the Eagles?
I know Dallas Goedert. He played at SDSU as well. But as far as the Eagles, I don't know very much. I'm a Cowboys fan, so it's kind of conflicting.
Have you ever met Dallas, and has he given you any advice to guide you through this process?
I've met Dallas a few times. He comes around, or he used to come around SDSU a lot. He talked to us actually while we were out in Villanova for our playoff game. He's a good dude. He gives a lot of good advice. So
now you know that if you end up on the Eagles, Dallas is the most prominent rival to the Eagles. You know that, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Have you given any thought to? I mean, and we're coming up on draft weekend. Have you given any thought to what it's going to be like for you to hear your name called or get that phone call on draft weekend, and how you're going to react?
It's going to be, I'm sure it's going to be pretty emotional. There's been a lot of, stuff to go through this journey, just like everybody else. But to finally get to that point, but knowing that you have more to do, but to get to this spot is something that not everybody can do. And, if you would have asked me like 5, 6, 7 years ago, if I would have seen myself playing in the NFL, I'd probably say, I don't know. I didn't even think I would be able to play in college until I did it. So, it's going to be a surreal moment for me.
Now, are you going to be glued to your TV, or do you have other things planned to sort of distract you? Because some are really just locked in, and some are like, you know what, I want to go do something else, be with my family, and kind of do that.
I usually watch the draft anyway, so I'm just going to treat it like normal. I'm going to chill with my family and my friends, and we're just going to casually watch it.
Any big plans for it? You're just going to stay at home and watch?
Just going to stay at home and watch.
Well, that's some great stuff from Mike here, and that'll do it for this episode of Draft Dreams. For Mike Griffin, I'm Andrew DiCecco. Thanks for watching Draft Dreams on Inside the Birds. Have a great week, everyone.